Hey, I'm just making this, well, I was going to say short video, but it's probably going to be a little bit longer than my normal ones. But I wanted to make this instructional video for you if you have a situation where you're not comfortable with me having access to your Calendly account after it's been configured. And, classic example would be if there's some kind of a HIPAA violation, if your calendar has patient information, it'll be visible in Calendly. So what I want to do is put this video together to walk you through some of the most common things that need to be done in Calendly so that you can do it on your own easily without relying on me or without feeling, kind of wonky about letting me into the back end. So assuming you have a Calendly account set up already, okay, and you're logged in, then this is going to be the screen that you arrive at. And this is a free Calendly account. So just out of the box, you get one event. You get all kinds of extra bells and whistles, but you get a pretty good amount of features. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you how to do a few things. I've got my notes up over here in this black window. I'm going to show you how to change it to use your email instead. You can't see this right now, but the email that's tied to this account is getpodcastified plus somebody's name at gmail.com. That way, if it comes to me, I can register the account, but that email can be changed to your personal email, your work email that is tied to your Zoom account. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how to change the URL to something that better fits the podcast. So in this example, it's calendly.com/getpodcastified Elaine Belson, right? So you can change that to something else. You have complete control over this once you're logged in. We'll show you how to integrate it with Zoom. So if you use a Zoom account already and somebody schedules to do a show with you over Zoom, Calendly and Zoom can talk to each other and say, hey, give this guy or gal a nice little Zoom link so that they can join us the day of the podcast. I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to update your availability, set which days, which times of days, which windows of time that you want to actually have your show, your recording, and do that pretty easily. We'll set up some workflows, which are really handy for scheduling, 4 hours before the show, an hour a day, before, after the show, you can send a, hey, just let you know, got the show tomorrow. And then later on, hey, thanks for being on the show. It was really good. Here's next steps, right? And then finally, we'll connect this to, it says your patient calendar, but whichever calendar has what might be sensitive information, right? We'll show you how to connect that to your calendar. It's basically just a username and password that you supply as if you were going to be looking into your calendar on the back end. So hopefully this all makes sense, and we will jump in real quick. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to change this to use a different email. All right, so we'll come up here to accounts and we'll click account settings, and the login here, this is where you can change your email address. Okay, so right now you see it's getpodcastified plus Elaine Belson at gmail.com. You just click change email. You'd have to put in your password, and then you put in the new email address, and it's likely to just send a thing to your new email saying, hey, you got to verify this before we actually let you do it. Fairly standard procedure, okay? Once you have that email address in there, click save, follow the instructions that come to your new email, and then you'll have access to that going forward. Next thing I want to show you is how to change the URL to something that probably better fits the podcast. Okay, so we'll go back, we'll click the C up here, go back to the home screen. So this URL right here, anytime somebody comes to calendly.com/whatever, they're going to be greeted with a list of which events you have that are public facing. So people can pick a 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute, whatever length meeting with you. They're going to come to a page where they can choose which size meeting they want. And you can change the meeting name, of course, to be whatever you want. This is a 30-minute meeting. It's a one-on-one meeting. You can call it whatever you want. Probably going to call it podcast, I would imagine, but you can change the name of the meeting very easily. So we're going to change the URL, same location. We'll go to accounts and we'll click account settings. Okay, and then my link. So right here, calendly.com/, put wherever you want in there. You can put your name, you can put podcast, you can put anything you want, just as long as people can come to this link, they're going to get the chance to schedule some time with you. Okay. So change this to whatever you think is best. Good to keep it short. It's really good to keep it short because in the event that if there's a piece of collateral, marketing collateral that gets created that has that link in there, if it's like 5 feet long, it might not fit, or if it does fit, you got to really shrink the text down. And people are like, "What is this? Like a social media post for ants?" You want to keep it nice and short. Okay, so probably not more than like 10, 12 characters at the max. Okay. Next thing that I want to show you, if we go back to the home screen, is how to integrate your calendar link with Zoom, how you integrate an event with Zoom. So we'll go into this meeting here. We'll click the gear and we'll click edit. So that'll take us to where we can change all kinds of stuff. We're going to be in here for a little bit, but we're going to change all kinds of stuff in here. So under this part where it says, what event is this? You can see it says Zoom right there, but if we click on that, it's in red because it's like, okay, well, you want me to go to Zoom, but I don't know which Zoom account you want to go to, bro. So we're going to fix that. It's very helpful, very user-friendly. Zoom is not connected. Visit the Zoom integration page to connect your account. So we'll just click that blue link. And this is pretty straightforward, but it'll say connect Zoom. It's probably going to come up with a thing that says, hey, what's your username? What's your password? We are not going to connect it to my Zoom account because that would be silly. But you put in your email, your password, and then click sign in, and then follow. I'm sure there's some extra instructions after this, but it's not hard or anything. You may get a verification email saying, hey, somebody use your Zoom account. Is that okay? And it's like, yeah, that was me. It's totally fine. So again, it's pretty straightforward there. So go ahead and connect your Zoom account. And once you have that done, then this should be okay. This shouldn't be red, first off, but you should be able to have an event that's created that is tied to your Zoom account. Anybody that schedules at that point in the location field of the calendar event, it's going to have the Zoom link right there. So it's real easy. It is really super easy. Next thing that I want to show you is how to update the availability. So same area, we'll go ahead and cancel out of this, but under the part where it says, when can people book this event? Okay. You have a lot of flexibility here, and there's even some flexibility that's kind of not hidden. They just don't want to have everything under the sun in one big thing, right? So I'll show you a little bit about that in a minute, but you can pick how far into the future. Do you want people to book out 2 months in advance? Like, are you really going to have that many podcast episodes? You might, but you have full flexibility if you want people to do it sooner rather than later. If you want to give them more time to get on the show, you have complete control here. You can also do it within a date range if you want to specify, a certain amount of, like, I'm only going to be doing this Q2 and that's it. So April through June, beginning of April, end of June, you can set constraints like that. You can also just unlock it and just say indefinitely into the future. Just, hey, there we go, right? You have full control of that. The duration, while this isn't necessarily part of availability, technically it kind of is. It is availability because you can say that, okay, I've only got 30 minutes available for a show, or I can do 60 minutes, or I can do, 90 minutes, like whatever it is, whatever you think is the best one. And I will say that generally the episode being 30 minutes max is pretty good. Like people tend to, lose attention span after that point. I will say too that it's good to have, a little bit of cushion on either side, right? So maybe a few minutes just to ramp up, let people get in. If they're not there right on time, give them a couple minutes. Give them a couple minutes after you've finished recording, and then you got some ramp up, you got some ramp down time, right? So up to you. My personal preference, I like to do 30 minutes because I'm a fast talker and I like to build rapport with people quickly, and I hit the ground running, right? So that's my style. Your style may be different, your mileage may vary. So choose what you think is an appropriate length of time, and if it ends up not working, if you feel like you're rushed or something, you can always come back and change this to something else, right? You like I said, you've got complete control. Next thing further down is like, this is the meat and potatoes really of the availability thing. So you have Calendly by default has something that they consider working hours. everybody's got, I guess this is a holdover from the Industrial Revolution, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, right? Maybe in a couple of decades, we'll dispel that myth and we'll get it down to like 10 to 4 so we can spend more time being humans. Anyway, that's a tirade. I don't mean to digress, but you can totally pick different times, different dates if you want to make yourself available on weekends. You can make yourself available at different spans of time during the day. So we can set custom hours here and you can pick and choose. Maybe you don't want to do things Monday. Maybe you just want to do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe you want to start at 12, well, I don't know, give you some time for lunch, 12:30 p.m., right? 12:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and 9 to 5 on Thursdays, right? You've got complete control right here. So from week to week, you have the ability to say only on Tuesdays, only on Thursdays, on these days, only at these times, not at these other times. Not that you would maybe need to do this, but just as an extra bit of control, this plus sign right here, like this is an interval, okay? So an interval of time, 12:30 to 5 p.m., right? So if you wanted a new interval, you could say 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., right? Like maybe you got something going on, maybe a meal between 5 and 6 p.m. And then so that's your quiet time, right? But if you've got multiple spans of time throughout the day that you want to make yourself available, you can totally do that. And if you look at that and say, I don't like that, you just click the trash can and it removes the interval, okay? Complete control here. Down here in the next section, you can, if you like, add a little bit of buffer before and after the event. Sometimes people like to, I don't know, take potty breaks at certain times of the day, right? So you can put 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. You can do 5, 10, 15, 30, 45, 1 hour. I mean, it's just like 3-hour buffer, right? Like, I guess that's useful for if you have to travel somewhere and people really can't schedule. If you've got something right elsewhere on your calendar, oops, can't do it. So there's that. And over here, you see the little diagram. So you'll see like what that's going to look like on your calendar, the blue spots above and below. Nobody can schedule in the blue. Nobody can schedule during the event, obviously, but also people can't schedule within that blue section, top or bottom. So it's a buffer. It's a protective measure. Okay, I'll uncheck these. Actually, I'm just going to cancel everything once I'm done here. Down here at the bottom, additional rules for your availability. So there's some additional stuff here, obviously. It does what it says on the label, right? You can show the time increments. And my advice would be, unless you have a show that is 45 minutes long, like let's say you allow people to schedule for 45 minutes at a pop, right? Usually nice round numbers like 30 minutes are good. If you have a 30-minute block, it's good to show available start times increments of 30 minutes. If you have a 45-minute block, I would recommend showing available start times increments of 15 minutes, okay? Reason for that, it kind of evens out, divides out evenly. If you've got 3/4 of an hour, then you want to let people have a little bit more like resolution in there. They have more times to pick from where they're like 1:15 p.m. Boom, got it. Because then 1:15 to 2 p.m. is the length of the show. You also can control how soon somebody can schedule, right? So if you'd like to have, and what we usually do for people is give people, 7 days notice, right? So you can put 7 here and click days. And then I guess we have to go back and put 7 again because it tries to convert it to hours. But invitees can't schedule within 7 days of an event start time, okay? That gives you a little bit of time to prepare, gives them time to prepare. But if you want to tighten that up, you can say 3 days, you can say 14 days. Again, you've got complete control. There's a lot of knobs, bells and whistles on this stuff. I mean, Calendly is just amazing, all right? And then finally, you can specify like how many actual episodes do you think you can personally record in a day? Like, is it going to take a lot out of you to do one? Do you want to max that out at 1 per day? Or do you want to have like whole days where all you do is record it? And maybe you can get 4 events back to back and just get them all done. And then, hey, awesome. That's like, a week or 2 worth of content right there. That's amazing. That's efficient right there. I tell you what. But you can put whatever you want in there, however many events per day that you feel comfortable with. And if you want to start with 1, that's fine. And if you start getting used to it and you're like, I think I could bump that up. I'm going to go up to 2. I'm going to go up to 3. You know, don't break your neck or anything, but you don't have to just let people have free reign over your calendar. Okay, you can set the rules. You can tell people what's available and what's not. Probably, if you wanted to do this, and you know, it's up to you, but you can make this a secret event. So previously, a little bit before, when I said, hey, when people come to this particular URL, calendly.com/whatever, right? Everything that's public facing would show up. If you have this box checked that says make this a secret event, they no longer show up, right? So just the ones that you don't want to have just anybody having free reign access to, you can set that checkbox. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because I don't want any of the changes to take effect, because I don't know what your anything is going to be at this point. So I don't want to assume anything. The next topic is setting up workflows. Okay, now workflows are actually really cool. And if you're new to Calendly, workflows are meant to replace the action of, you know, on every event, you can say, hey, you know, this long before the event, I want to send this email to the person. This much time after the event, I want to send this email to the person. Okay, it's good for helping people prepare, and it's good for helping them have a clear next step, particularly if you have like a Facebook group, or you've got a free resource, or you've got an ask, then that's a good place to put it. What I usually do, well, I'll show you how this, let's see, explore what we can do with workflows. All right. Well, shoot. I just now realized workflows are not a feature of free Calendly. So we won't spend a lot of time in here, but at least you know a little bit more. I learned a thing. So anyway, you can start with some of these workflows, and you don't have to have this. It's a nice to have. I use it a lot whenever I'm working with a client that has a paid for version of Calendly. But you can email a reminder to your invitee, you know, however many events before the event starts. You can edit the email. You can give all kinds of information. Hey, this is a reminder about the show that we're going to be on. Here's the location. It's going to be on Zoom. Here's some of the information that we have about the show, all that stuff, right? It's just a friendly thing. It's a reminder to let them know, okay? Same kind of thing for getting, let's see, where's my, here we go, cancel. I don't know if you can see it, but the thing that records on Zoom is in the way. I don't know if it's showing up on the screen, but you can also email, you can send a thank you email, you can email feedback survey, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of, I didn't realize there were so many options here. I thought there were just 6. They have, oh, it's a different screen. But anyway, you can choose any one of these workflows, and then that workflow will actually apply to whichever events you want. So instead of having to go into each single event and say, okay, I want this workflow here and this workflow here, you just make one workflow that looks and feels the way you want it and apply it. You know, if you've got a paid for account, you can apply it to multiple event types. Makes it really, really simple, okay, if you have a paid account. So unfortunately, we don't in this case, but we will wrap this up with the connected to your calendar so it interleaves with your current availability, okay? So up here at the top under accounts, we will say calendar connections. And usually people either have Google Calendar, Office 365. Generally, that's one of the two, right? So when you click the connect button, it's going to take you to, this is somebody else here. I don't want to sign in as that person, but you'll get the chance to log in as you. So you put your email in there, put your password in there, and you're off to the races. It'll probably ask you some questions about like, hey, you know that you're going to have to give Calendly permission to do X, Y, Z. It's basically just, you know, having access to your calendar, being able to add and remove calendar invitations, which it's only going to know about the ones that it put in there. And it's only going to have a hook to the ones that it actually inserted in your calendar. You don't have to worry about is going to delete an appointment that Calendly itself didn't set up. It won't. I mean, Calendly would not be in business if they did stuff like that. So it's safe, it is secure. So yeah, that sums it up. I know it's a lot of stuff, but given that I might not be able to get into Calendly after the fact, I want you to be able to have assurance that you can change stuff as we go. So happy to help if you need some more assistance, but I will stop this recording and I'll send this to you. So I hope this is helpful.